I wasn't looking to start a neighborhood war. All I wanted, honestly, was to build a simple stone bridge over the creek out back. Something quiet. Something just for me and Helen, or at least for her memory. But in an HOA, grief needs a permit. And I learned real quick that even the best intentions can make you public enemy number one. One neighbor, one email. That's all it took. Suddenly there were warning signs staked in my yard, people staring every time I mowed the lawn like I was plotting some criminal enterprise. And the woman leading the charge, Carol Peterson, she acted like she was judge, jury, and sheriff. If you've ever tangled with a neighbor like that, you know exactly where this is headed. Let me back up a sec. This all really began 3 months ago, right after I lost Helen. She was 34, still young, and she worked with kids at the local library. One rainy Tuesday, her car spun out on the way to work, and just like that, gone. I'd wake up and expect her beside me, listen for her humming while she made coffee, reach for her lunchbox notes, all of it just gone. At her funeral, it was like I moved through a tunnel of condolences and flowers. But what I remember clear as day was looking out our bedroom window, staring at the creek and thinking about the last little dream Helen ever whispered to me, a bridge just big enough for the two of us to cross, roses climbing the side, something that looked like it belonged there forever. Nothing fancy, just a connection between both sides of our yard, both halves of our life. After she was gone, the house felt hollow, so I threw myself into the one thing that made sense: build that bridge. Finish Helen's dream. Being an engineer, I did it by the book county plans, soil tests, environmental sign-off, got every box checked and every form filed. The county green lit, the whole thing, 12 feet long, 4 feet wide, all natural stone. It wasn't some wild structure, just a memorial, a way to stay busy, a way to keep moving. That's when Carol Peterson stormed into my life. Picture this Thursday morning, I'm out by the creek, paint marking the foundation spots, and I hear this sharp little cough behind me. I turn, and there she is, mid-40s, hairstyled like she just walked out of a catalog white shirt pressed crisp, holding a tiny notepad and an expression like I'd let my dog loose in her kitchen. "I'm Carol Peterson from the HOA Review Committee," she says, like she expects me to salute. "What exactly are you building here?" I told her. A memorial bridge for Helen. Showed her the county paperwork. "The plan's everything." She squinted like she'd found a spelling error, barely listening, and then snapped her little pad shut. "We'll just have to see about that. HOA has strict guidelines, you know, and I'm not sure your permits override our standards." She started taking pictures of me, of the side of the grass, probably of my shoes, then stalked off. That night, right on cue, I get an email from Carol: urgent creek construction violation notice. The kind of bureaucratic language that makes you laugh and groan at the same time. She accused me of violating Section 12B, which, as it turns out, does not even exist. I'd already read every HOA document cover to cover. There wasn't a Section 12B, not even close, just a bunch of rules about holiday lights and garden gnomes. But Carol counted on me not knowing that. Thing is, I don't bluff, and I don't jump the gun. My job's about collecting facts before acting, and Carol's attitude wasn't just about rules. There was something personal, something off. So next morning, I bought a hidden security camera, night vision, motion detect the works, and set it up facing the site. If Carol planned to up the ante, I'd have the receipts. And up the ante she did. That morning, sipping coffee, I spotted a bright red danger sign planted right by my work site, making it look like I was building a nuclear plant. It got better. Carol started a private online group posting pictures of my half-finished project with captions warning everyone about safety and the grave risk to the neighborhood. People started whispering, asking questions. Even Mrs. Rodriguez, the sweetest neighbor, came by, wringing her hands, asking if I was sure it was all safe, but I didn't bite. Instead, I put up my own sign, Memorial Bridge for Helen. All permits posted. Ask me anything. I included a QR code to a website with every document and a little write-up about Helen. Neighbors started coming by to support me, some even apologizing for doubting. Mrs. Rodriguez baked a casserole. Mr. Thompson offered to help lay stones. The tide turned, but you could almost feel Carol's anger crackling through the air. That's when the camera caught her. 3 a.m., pitch black, Carol dressed in black, sneaking around my material pile, dumping handfuls of nails and screws everywhere. You could see her face, see the way she checked over her shoulder, see exactly what she was doing. Next morning, I found the debris scattered everywhere, sabotage clear as day. But Carol didn't stop there. 5 days later, I showed up to find 4 specialty bags of concrete, $500 worth, slashed wide open, soaked by last night's rain, ruined. She wanted to make it too expensive for me to keep going, wanted me to quit. But she didn't count on the fact that every second of her little midnight adventure was recorded. I didn't shout, didn't call her out. I took the footage straight to Sheriff Maddox. Maddox watched it stone-faced, then said, "Mr. Holloway, that's felony destruction of property. If you want, I'll arrest her today." But I told him, let's give her enough rope to hang herself. If she goes further, there'll be no doubt who's right and who's wrong. He agreed, gave me his number, told me to call the moment she crossed the line again. Meanwhile, the land surveyor's precision boundaries came out for a full survey, just to be sure the bridge was nowhere near a property dispute. Tom, the chief, called me over, pointing at a map looking more serious than I'd ever seen him. 15 feet, Mr. Holloway. That's how far off the old records are. Your line runs right through Mrs. Peterson's patio and rose garden. I stared at the map, honestly had to laugh. All that land Carol had been so protective about, technically it was mine. Now I had choices: tell Carol, negotiate, be the bigger man. But after what she'd done, she didn't deserve that. I called a real estate attorney, Sarah Martinez, who said, "You have her, Mr. Holloway, not just for trespass, but for illegal improvements and damages. It's your land. She has no claim." Back to the bridge. Almost done, just needed heavy machinery to prep the creek bed. I rented a road roller, sent a detailed note to every neighbor, attached the permits, outlined the schedule, left nothing for Carol to twist. Most folks cheered me on, but Carol, she went nuclear. Dramatic posts about environmental destruction riling up a storm online, promising to stop this disaster. It was all building to a showdown. On the big day the roller arrived, the sheriff was parked down the block. Neighbors lined the street. Carol streamed it live, strutting into my yard phone and one hand finger wagging. "Stop that machine, you're violating HOA rules. I demand you stop this destruction." She was yelling, full-on performance crowd, growing tension electric. Right then, Sheriff Maddox stepped forward, calm badge gleaming. Carol spun around, trying to rally him, demanding my arrest. Maddox listened, then said, "Ma'am, you are trespassing and obstructing legal construction on private property. Mr. Holloway is fully permitted. If you continue, you'll be arrested." Carol froze, mouth open, streaming her own humiliation live, the whole neighborhood watching. People started drifting away, murmuring, some even snickering. But it wasn't over. Next day, an emergency HOA meeting notice got taped to my door. Carol's last stand calling the HOA to sue me for environmental destruction. The place was packed. Carol in her navy blazer firing up a dramatic slideshow, painting me as a villain, calling for $50,000 of HOA money to fight my crime. When she finished, I stood up, pulled up my own slides, the new survey certified and stamped, showing 15 feet of her precious yard was actually mine. The room went silent. "Not only am I permitted," I said, "but Mrs. Peterson has been occupying my land without a permit for years. Nobody voted for her lawsuit. Neighbors lined up to apologize, to offer support, some even shaking my hand as they left." Carol, she just sat there, stunned, defeated, papers scattered like the end of a bad play. A couple months later, her house went up for sale. She never spoke to me again. And Helen's Bridge finished exactly as we'd planned. Natural stone roses already climbing a little brass plaque, "Helen's Crossing, forever in love." At sunset, I sit there, watch the light over the creek, and remember why I started this in the first place. The neighborhood's peaceful again. Kids play by the water, neighbors wave. Even Mrs. Rodriguez checks on the roses now and then. I don't know where Carol is, and honestly, I don't care. She learned the hard way that sometimes the best revenge is just letting people destroy themselves. If you've ever faced a neighbor like that, Or got your own HOA horror story? Drop it below. Did I do the right thing? Was I too harsh? Let's hear it. What's justice? And what's just neighborhood drama? And hey, if you made it this far, share the story, because sometimes all it takes to turn chaos into peace is a bridge and a little patience.